everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is the Darklight Emissary, and today's video is going to continue our series on different secrets and mysteries on worlds within the Imperium of Mankind. And today's world is going to be Titan, Saturn's moon. Other than the Imperial Palace and the Golden Throne, the Dark Cells, and the depths of Terra, and a few other choice places in the galaxy, the Titan moon is possibly one of the most secretive and unknown places in the entire galaxy because of the secrets it holds, which are both terrible and simply unknowable. This moon is the headquarters of the Grey Knights chapter of Space Marines, which, if you are unfamiliar with them, they are a permanent part of the Inquisition, specifically the Ordo Malleus branch. It is possible that the secrets here are so forbidden that not even Primarchs nor chapter masters of other Space Marines or other high-ranking individuals would be allowed access to some parts of the Grey Knights fortress. Such are the dangers within some of its walls. And the first secret we're going to talk about is possibly the most potent, and something we actually learned about a bit in the End and the Death Part 3. Well, all 3 volumes actually, but mostly in 3 we learned the most about it. And that is the Terminus Decree. So what the Terminus Decree is basically essentially a genetic virus created by Basilio Foe during the Siege of Terra. This virus is created to destroy any Space Marines as well as Primarchs on basically a molecular level, and it was made in desperation at the behest of Malcador and the Custodes to try to destroy the Space Marines during the Siege of Terra. And near the end of the siege, it was almost enacted in desperation as a final measure against the encroaching traitors, until it was discovered that the Emperor barely survived his encounter with Horus. Basilio Foe was one of the Emperor's most ancient foes, and one of his basically opposite leaders against him during much of his reign and before it. And from what we know from End and the Death Part 3, Basilio might have survived that. Well, he did survive that, but we don't know past that if he actually did survive farther into the millennia since, and it's possible that the Grey Knights hunted him down, and he might even be part of this decree, in a sense that he might be caretaker, for all we know. His ultimate fate is only written down that he was possibly executed as a radical inquisitor later on in the Imperium, but whether or not that actually happened, it hasn't been put to a novel yet, so we just have the written background lore on that so far. The decree itself is written on some paper in a ancient box, and it's set deep within the Titan vaults of Titan's fortress for the Grey Knights. It is said only a Supreme Grand Master of the Grey Knights can open this box, and will do so only if they feel that humanity is once again on a complete extinction path like the Siege of Terra and the Horus Heresy. It is said that this box resides within the tomb of Malcador the Sigilite, which also resides on Titan. And besides the Supreme Grand Master, the Grand Master of the Grey Knights also needs a matching key to get it opened, and the only way to get that opened is from a seal found only in one place, which is actually on the Golden Throne itself. If this decree was ever unleashed, it would wipe out any existing Space Marines in a current existence as it spreads, and it would also apparently attack Primarchs. Whether or not it would affect Demon Primarchs, we don't know, but presumably it could also hurt them as well, because it's possibly also psionic in nature. But it should be known that we don't know that for sure. That's mostly my speculation, that it could also affect on a psionic level. Now, one of the most deliberately secret and secure locations on Titan is the Sanctum Sanctorum. Amongst its defenses are 3 sealed portals, along with Forgotten Science and Warp type magic and sorcery that are also entrapping the place to make it unassailable. Most likely technology from the Dark Age, I would imagine, is built into these portals. This area of the fortress houses every bit of psionic information that the Grey Knights have gathered about demons, about the warp, all of it. It is possible, other than maybe a secret place on Terra or the Black Library itself within the Webway, that this is the largest repository of demon names, of secrets about the warp. A lot of different esoteric knowledge is kept here, collected over 10,000 years by the Grey Knights and their agents. This place is tended by the Grey Knights librarians, which is significant because all Grey Knights are psionic to a degree. They are all psychers to a degree, so their librarians are some of their most powerful psychic users within this chapter. One of the technologies that is kept here on how to create the Nemesis Force weapons that are the signature weapons of the Grey Knights themselves. Although it's a rumor, it is possible that the Emperor also has writings here from him. Handwritten notes, instructions, things of that sort kept in this area of these vaults. And it's possible that these are his journals or other documents that chronicle events during the Dark Age of technology, what was lost, what to warn about that age, things of that sort. If you want to learn more about the Dark Age of technology, I'll leave a link to a video we just did on the mysteries of that era right here for you. If we go deeper still into this sanctum, we get to the Librarium Demonica. Now, this is possibly the most guarded place on the entire moon, which is saying something considering the entire place is a guarded secret. For example, ships that ply the lanes above this world know to avoid it at all costs. That to get close to it means to basically court death and getting too close to it without proper authorizations. This room houses every bit of knowledge about the warp specifically, and about the Chaos Gods, their servants, their dark artifacts. Anything that is to know about Chaos is housed here. And as you can imagine, if this information ever was divulged or got breached and was disseminated throughout the Imperium, it could spell near the end of the Imperium completely, as there would be spontaneous summonings of demons, things of that sort, just by knowing some of their names. Not even a demon's name is safe to read, typically. As an example of that is actually in the first Grey Knights novel, which chronicles the Grey Knights going after the demon prince Gargatuloth, Prince of a Thousand Faces, demon prince of Zench. An inquisitor named Bree Legia had discovered Gargatuloth's true demon name, and in doing so, it drove her mad, and she had to be executed eventually by the Inquisition. Not only is the danger inherent within just the names of and the information within this place, but just the knowledge of this room's existence could lead to other factions within the Imperium wanting to destroy the Grey Knights and destroy this information outright, believing them to possibly be heretical despite the fact that not a single Grey Knight has ever fallen to the wiles of chaos. The first line of defense this place has is that the entire place is basically built out of adamantium, all of which is meters thick and bound with esoteric wards, spells, sorcery, and also void shielding as well. The first door to get in to the sanctum is basically one you would have to get a volcano cannon off of a warlord titan to possibly break in through, and is covered by also a cipher lock that has almost infinite combinations within it. The second door has a displacement field around it, and this spatial displacement field is something probably from the Dark Age of technology that basically bends time back upon itself, time and space. So if you try to run through it, then you will loop back upon yourself. So it basically keeps you in one spot completely without any hope of escaping this spatial field. And then at the third door, the only thing that is described there is a magical vortex, and this vortex apparently will tear the soul out of any being that is even lightly connected to the warp itself. So essentially you have to be a Sister of Silence, which is a pariah with no presence in the warp, or a similar being like unto them, to have any chance to get through this door. Permanently stationed at each one of these doors is a Grey Knight's librarian, and at each of these doors they are kneeling in meditation with a hand resting upon their sword. If someone approaches one of these doors, they stand up immediately and challenge this approacher, and they will strike them down if they do not speak secret words within a couple of minutes to let them pass. It doesn't matter if you're a Grey Knight, a High Lord of Terra, a Primarch. If you show up at one of these doors and you don't know how to get in, these librarians will attack you. Even someone they have known for hundreds of years, which would be like another Grey Knight brother, they still will not trust them if they cannot give them the code, and they will strike them down. There's simply no hope of getting into this place, and it's a fool's errand to even try, unless you bring it like entire Titan legions with you, I imagine, backed by Space Marine legions, backed by every Primarch or something ridiculous like that. Of smaller but interesting note is the Vault of Labyrinths, and this vault has within it Tesseract Labyrinths, which are fist-sized cubes, which, if you know a bit about these, they're actually from the Necrons. Of smaller note is a place called the Vault of Labyrinths, and this is a area that is a stasis vault, and within it is Tesseract labyrinths, which are basically a cube that has a infinite dimensional maze inside of it, and these are used to trap demons. And so on occasion, the Grey Knights have found use for these to take down some demons, although any events like that I have not really seen in any of the novels, but we do know this has happened. What criteria a demon has to have and what situation one has to find themselves in to use a Tesseract cube has not been explored really yet to any great degree, other than knowing it happens on occasion. And then we have the Warp Nexus. The Warp Nexus is very interesting. This is the heart of the Fortress Monastery, and this area is basically purified psionic power that is used to fuel this fortress, and it possibly has roots in the nature of the Grey Knights themselves being completely purified of corrupting warp energy while utilizing psionic energy, much like the Emperor did. This is one of the final places that was created by Malcador the Sigilite himself, and this was utilized to shield Titan against the wiles of the warp while it was sealed away there during the end of the Horus Heresy to hide it from Horus. And while it's not known how to do it yet, they are studying it to try to be able to initiate it again in case Titan ever does have to go back into the warp to hide from some unforeseen threat. And then possibly one of the most guarded places along this other sanctum we just talked about is the Chamber of Purity. This place holds a lot of demon artifacts, blades, bones, weapons, objects, all that kind of stuff that the Purifiers, which are some of the strongest psionic users of the warp that the Grey Knights have, reside and take care of here. What makes Purifiers different from other Grey Knights is they have a similar aura around them, although much lesser degree than the Emperor, but similar in the sense that their just very presence hurts demons, hurts warp entities, and actively harms them as well. Just as the Emperor is named anathema by the creatures of the warp, by the Chaos Gods, so too are these Purifiers to a lesser degree, but in similitude to their progenitor, which is the Emperor. And then on top of the Purifiers keeping these artifacts suppressed, essentially, then we also have them keeping all these artifacts within stasis vaults as well, and other stasis artifacts to keep them just completely secure as much as possible. And then last but not least is there is a grimoire held by the Purifiers called the Iron Grimoire. This was penned by Malcador the Sigilite, and it hints at some kind of entity hidden underneath the very citadel of the Grey Knights on Titan itself. What the nature of this entity is completely unknown. It's just mentioned that it's a great evil, and that part of the reason for the Grey Knights' location of their base is because of whatever is underneath there. And for whatever reason, it was not destroyable by the Emperor or Malcador. And apparently the aura of the Purifiers keeps this evil at bay. It keeps it slumbering or asleep or otherwise dormant. So it seems to have some kind of warp nature to it, but it doesn't seem like it would be straight up a demon in this case. So we're not sure what it could be, because we know the Emperor is able to kill nearly any demon he ever came across with his psychic abilities. He himself is basically anti-demon, anti-chaos god, essentially, in power. And we only know of one demon that the Emperor has not been able to successfully kill when confronted, which is Dracnyan, which right now is in the possession of Abaddon in the form of a sword. So what could it be? We really don't know. I would love your speculation in the comments on this subject, because this is a unique situation. Not much was undestroyable by the Emperor, essentially. And then it's not much else is known about this base of Titan and the Grey Knights. I imagine that this citadel is partially built with Dark Age technology tech. It might even be built over some former base from that era, I would assume, due to some of the technologies present here. I don't think some of the technologies, even during its construction and modification during the Horus Heresy, was enough knowledge known by Malcador and the rest to invent or construct some of this. So I think some of it was found here, and it was found as a suitable spot to build this fortress, along with whatever threat they found residing on this moon. Although that's me assuming that the threat was found on this moon and not somewhere else and brought here, but assuming it was here already, they built this citadel over it. And that's really it for some secrets and mysteries about the Grey Knights Fortress Monastery on the moon of Titan. So if you have any thoughts on this subject, leave a comment. If you haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to. We'd love to discuss with you in the comments and on Discord and in the future with more topics. If you are still here at the end of this video, I invite you to join us on Discord. It will be linked in the description. I'll pin it in a comment as well. We would love to have you with us in the community. I hope you have a great day or night wherever you are, and I will see you in the next video. Talk with you soon. Thank you.